Eric Braun, not your average lender. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
Man, I got to say, I'm thrilled about this interview because, I'm often on the hunt for originators who are doing stuff that I think is unique and different and really stands out. And I don't know how the hell you got on my Instagram feed, but you did, right? One day I'm just browsing, doing the flip thing, right? Hashtags, probably the king. You're the hashtag king. We're going to talk about that. And all of a sudden, I'm holding your phone up. I got your feed right here, bro. Look at you, Don Draper dressed and everything. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Anyway, what caught me is I'm just, scrolling and thumb stopping content. And then I look at it, I'm like, who is this dude? Not your average lender. What's that all about? And then I look, I'm like, whoa, 15,000 followers. All right, there's something going on here. And so now we're talking here today. For the listeners, let's unpack this a little bit. Who you are, where in the market are you, and how long have you been an originator?
So I've been licensed for 2 years. Mm-hmm. I'm 24 years old. I'm out of the Long Island, New York market. Mm-hmm. What was the other question? And did I miss anything there? I hit on everything, or?
I think that's it. Who are you? Long 2 years. 2 years licensed, but 4 years in the biz, right?
Yes. 2 years. For the first 2 years, I was like a telemarketer during the refi boom about 4 years ago. So that's how I got started, cold calling people with existing mortgages. Yeah,
that's fun. That's fun stuff, isn't it? They love to get those calls.
That's the way to get started, in my opinion.
And so you're calling New York, New Jersey, all that?
New York, mostly. When we were doing refis or more refis, or focusing on them at least, we were doing nationally, yeah.
No, I ask about New York because many, many years ago, for those listening, may not know my background. I was, working for Tony Robbins and doing seminars and stuff, right? And we would come into a city for eight weeks at a time, and we started calling all these sales organizations in New York. Well, let me tell you something, man. You had to have your game on. Yeah. You calling New York,
and it's crazy because I talk to loan officers all the time. I listen to your podcast. And I always think, does this apply to the New York market? Because it is a little different here.
Okay. So you've been originating for 2 years, individually yourself. Are you on a team, or are you just on your own?
I'm technically work under a branch. So, I help manage that branch a little bit. I have a team within that branch, about 4 loan officers, that I'm pretty hands off with. I have them kind of delegated, have their loans being worked on by somebody else. So I'm very, very hands off. I just brought them into the business or brought them into the company from another company. So I do a little bit of recruiting and stuff like that. But technically I work under a branch manager, if you will.
Okay. Yeah. But you're not getting fed any deals and leads and stuff.
No.
Yeah. You're self-gen.
Yeah.
All right. Give us a sense then. Here we are at the time we're recording this is November 1st, 2019. Yep. How do you think you'll close out 2019, units or volume? What are you kind of forecasting?
I'm going to say I checked before I went on because I knew you were going to ask this question. So I'm at 18 million. Mm-hmm. And I have 5 million in the pipeline right now. So I'm probably going to say around maybe 30 if I really, really kick it up a notch.
And how many units is that roughly?
Well, the average loan amount here, I'm going to say my average loan amount is about 380, maybe 400. So if I'm at 18, 400, that's about 45 units.
45. Sweet, man.
So
Sweet.
Far for the year, yeah.
Yeah, 2 years. And how does that compare to last year? And by the way, we didn't prep for this at all. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. That's what I do. Yeah. But how does that compare?
It's double.
Double. Okay.
Yeah.
So you double it, and this is great context. I'm setting this up because this is relevant. Everybody listening, this is going to be relevant to where we go here. So you doubled your business essentially in 1 year. We don't need to get into 2020 yet, but let's just take it from where we are now. Okay, you're number one. Now it's funny because when I asked you this question originally, when you and I talked, I was expecting a different answer, but because of who you are and your presence online and stuff like that, what's your number one source of business?
Well, realtor referral, but how do I meet those realtors? Instagram.
Exactly. I like the comma, but I want to clarify for everybody listening, right? Number one source is still realtor referrals. Right. But now let's get into how in basically 2 years' time, you doubled your business as well. What is your main method for engaging with realtors?
So I social media has, like, I really credit every single unit that I've done this year through social media in one way or another, right? Or at least 90 or 80% of them.
Yep.
So how do I meet realtors? There's which is the old fashioned way, networking events. Maybe I'm working with a buyer's agent. I break into their brokerage to try and get in front of more agents that they're familiar with. But mainly it is through Instagram, Facebook, and kind of reaching out to them in a relational way, not a salesy way.
Yeah.
Because what I see a lot of loan officers doing is, hey, I'm a lender in the area. Just send me all of your buyers. And that's kind of how they approach everything. And me, it's like, hey, what's up? What's going on? I saw that you liked my picture. How's business? And I'll start off the conversation like that through either Instagram DM or Facebook messaging, and invite them to an event or invite them to a one-on-one. I try and always take the online relationship offline.
Do you have a sense of your 15,000 followers? Like, this is a difficult question perhaps, but roughly how many agents are following you on Instagram?
I'm going to say real estate professionals, because I do have a lot of loan officers that follow me as well, as of recently. Because
they're watching what you're doing.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's probably half real estate professionals and half like entrepreneurial, motivated individuals. And maybe I shouldn't say half and half, because then there's always my, high school friends that I grew up with.
Well, the point I'm trying to get to is really, I want to kind of really be very specific here, because, a lot of people throw out generalities about, you got to be on Instagram and this and that and all that. But you, I think, have very tangible results to speak to, which is what I want to kind of unpack here today.
Right.
You mentioned something briefly there is, you see a real estate agent who likes one of your photos. And by the way, we're going to put links in the show notes, but your Instagram handle is Not Your Average Lender. I'm going to ask you about that in a second, but back to the point about you've got what, it's funny. I was watching you give one of these presentations at this event down in Miami. What was the name of that event again?
So that's that was the Legion of Loan Officers Conclave. So the Legion of Loan Officers I'm a part of. They're a course. They sell a course to
for Facebook ads?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I know Nick. Yeah, met him.
Okay, cool.
Met him at the AIM conference out here in Vegas.
Nick is the man. The man. So he brought me down there. One, because I'm part of the Legion, and two, he wanted me to kind of give my 2 cents on Instagram, because obviously Facebook leads are Facebook leads. Yeah.
So, but you said something at this conference. So you're teaching, was that a room full of loan officers?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're teaching a room full of loan officers. And I wrote down a couple of things that you said there. You said you are the brand.
Yes.
And so a lot of your Instagram feed and your images and stuff have video clips of you teaching why you should build a brand, for example.
Yes.
So all right, let's roll this back 2 years. Why did you choose mortgage, right? What were you doing? What brought you into mortgage?
I fell into the industry. It's sort of like Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street kind of story, where I met an individual. I was 18 years old. He drove an Audi. I love German cars, so instantly, and his Audi was brand new. So I was like,
don't even get me started on Audis.
So
how much my battery, dude? Not to interrupt you, my battery. I'm replacing the battery today. How much the battery is? $575.
Oh yeah, no, all day. Yeah, don't let anybody hear that.
Go on, sorry.
But so he drove a brand new Audi. I had an Audi at the time as well, but it was old. So in my mind, if you're driving a brand new Audi, you're making money. So that's how I kind of meet this guy. And 2 years into our relationship, I would see him here and there, and I'd speak to him on the phone. I'm 20 years old. I'm not working at the time. And he asked me what I'm doing for work. I was like, nothing. He's like, well, why don't you come be my chauffeur? I'll buy a brand new Audi. You can come be my driver. Little did I know he was just joking. But every day I called this guy, and for about 2 weeks, he kept on saying, when are you going to come drive for me? When are you going to come be my chauffeur? After those 2 weeks were over, and he was like, all right, the joke's over. How about you come to my office, and I got a real job for you? And I went to his office, again, not knowing what he does, didn't ask any questions. I was just showing up for a job.
You were hungry.
Absolutely. And that's what he was testing to see by joking around with me and asking me to be his driver.
Wow.
I showed up there, filled out an employment package, and when the background check came back, I was on the phone telemarketing.
Oh my gosh. Rest is history. So
that's how I got in.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to get that context. So fast forward. When did you realize building a brand was important, was going to set you apart? And, how did you maybe it's just because of your age, group and stuff like that. You're like, hey man, if I'm going to do this business, I'm going to go all in on Instagram or social.
Yeah. So, how did I realize personal branding was going to bring me to the next level? Yeah. I would say because I looked at social media and I didn't see any loan officers. And I, as somebody I'm obviously we're not self-employed, or at least I'm not self-employed. I'm a W-2 employee, right? I work for a bank. Yep. However, I have to think like an entrepreneur. And in my experience, thinking like an entrepreneur and thinking like a business owner, I have to constantly ask myself, how do I separate myself? Mm-hmm. So I saw social media as like it was an open landscape for me, right? Yeah. Nobody was there yet. And then I went all in, and obviously now 2 years later, it paid off. Consistency though.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Cause I mean, you, actually, you know what? I look at your Instagram. It's not like if I may dare I say, it's not like you have a ton of posts.
No.
Yeah. Only 137.
How much?
137. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm super active on my stories. That's one thing that a lot of people miss, in my opinion, is they post a lot.
Yeah.
But being active on the stories, giving like sort of a day by day look into your life, you're going to get more engagement, because the people want to know what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Not what you did 2 weeks ago when you were in Miami.
That's a great clarification, by the way. I'm glad you pointed out that distinction, because obviously if we were able to look at your stories, you probably have like thousands of stories.
Yeah. Right. Well, right. Yeah. Thousands, without a doubt. If you see on my like Instagram highlights, sometimes I'll save the stories. So if you little midway through the profile, you'll see reviews, events, the show, agent collaboration, motivation, travel. Those are some of the stories that I'll save to those categories. I actually have to clean those up because a lot of them are old, but I'm constantly on my stories. It's become just a part of what I do now. It's just a muscle that I've trained. Yeah. Whether it's me sending out a pre-approval, I'll do a quick story on it. Whether it's me giving like a little motivational spiel, I'll shoot a story out. That's kind of where I stay super, super active. And you're right. I don't have many posts, right? If you look at just that, I want to do double the amount. And that's why I'm hiring a full-time videographer very shortly, beginning of this year.
Well, you're doing a lot of things, and I'm not trying to say that you're not, by that figure.
No, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but you actually clarified and corrected me in that it's actually the stories that drives the most engagement. So I want to make sure everybody listening gets that. All right, let's go back to some of the tactical stuff and how you have built an awareness so quickly for yourself. Now here's the other thing too. And by the way, just so you know, full disclosure, I'm not great at Instagram, right? I'm like behind the 8 ball, and I'm learning it. So I used to say I suck at Instagram, but I've changed my vocabulary. I'm not going to say I just say I'm getting better. But what I noticed, you said something at this training, and I look at your Instagram feed. You posed a question to the audience, which was, "What do you see on all these posts on the Instagram feed?" And the answer was, "We see you, your face."
Yes.
And that's, to be honest with you, man. So look at age gap here. We got like 25 years between us. That for a lot of people, and the average age of a loan officer is like 54, right? So that is a challenging road for some of us to take on.
Yep.
To be like, dude, it's all me, you know what I mean? And some people have that external perception, but educate us a little bit about what you're trying to do with your brand, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I was just talking to somebody about this today. I think a general principle in business, whether it be mortgages, real estate, you're a restaurant owner, you own a body shop, whatever it is, a general principle is people need to know you, right? Grant Cardone, if you're familiar with him, he always talks about cash flow. That's like a reoccurring theme. because he's a real estate investor. And one of the things he said was, if people don't know you, they can't flow you. So I want to walk into a room and people, and I've had this happen to me. Literally, I've walked out of a bathroom at a networking event. Still, my hands are still wet. And somebody pops around the corner and says, "Hey, you're not your average lender." I've never met him before. That's the power of building a personal brand, because one day one of my clients is going to make an offer on one of these agents' listings. Right. One day I'm going to come across them. I'm going to see them at a networking event, and I want it to be a warm connection right from the get-go. Even if it doesn't translate to business immediately, I want people to know who I am. So when I really, I don't want to say I cracked the code, because that sounds like, overused.
Right.
But for lack of a better phrase, when I cracked the code is when I realized I have to make it all about me, not mortgages. Nobody wants to hear about mortgages. And it's crazy, because people started to follow me. People started to recognize me more. People started to appreciate who I am. People started to send me business because of who I am, because I let them in on my personal story, let them in on me a little bit. And I'm not talking, and don't get me wrong, educational content is really valuable. You want to position yourself as an expert. Right. But to really, in my opinion, people don't do business with people they don't know. So I want you to know me when you go to my Instagram.
Interesting. What, give me a sense of the agents that you work with. One might make the assumption that most of the agents you work with are also in the same age bracket as you.
Correct.
So that is correct.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to say, so I just had an event. The median, there was 110 people there. 90% of them were realtors, all through Instagram, by the way. I promoted everything through Instagram. And I'm going to say the median age of that group was probably 25, 27.
Interesting. I'm trying to think about that in the context of like my listening audience. I know I have a mix, but knowing that the average age, right, of an LO, like we said, skews older.
Right.
Do you have any idea why that you think that, I mean, obviously the quote, I hate to say this phrase, the quote, younger people, right, are more active on the socials and stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's also who I connect with.
Yeah.
Like,
because of your style, because of who you are and all that.
Just because I'm young and they're young and we want to grow our businesses together and we want to work with, like, we're the next generation of real estate professionals. So in 30 years from now, I'm going to be saying all these young kids, on the TikTok.
TikTok, right.
So that's not only who's watching, that's also who's who I connect with. Yeah. And I've noticed that, and I've doubled down on that. At first, I didn't like that, because the younger crowd have been in the business less, and they're doing less production. If you think about it, for the most part, there are some rock stars that I work with that are crushing it, even if they're 20, 2 years in the business, let's say. Sure. But at first, I didn't like it, because I'm like, all right, he's a brand new agent, or 2 years in the business, and he'll be lucky to do 12 deals this year. Yeah. But I just need to know more people like that. And I don't really count it as, all right, this agent does X amount of business, I'm going to go after him. I just want people to know me. If they like me, they'll send me deals. And when they do send me a deal, they're going to find out how good I am and how good I am at my job, basically. That's how I kind of work it. Versus the opposite, which is tell everybody how good you are at your job, and they'll send you business. I tell everybody who I am. Hopefully they like me, and then they find out how good I am at my job.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's funny, right? Go back to what you said. It's the old cliche. People do business with people they like, right?
Exactly.
People right. That's the first thing. They got to know you. So that's how you're getting known, leveraging today's platforms. Let's talk about some more tactical stuff you're doing. The brewery. Tell me about that.
So brewery, for the people listening, it's spelt, because you can't really, it's easier if you see the logo, but BREW-RE. The RE stands for real estate, and it's a play on words with brewery, where beer is made, right? So being in the industry young, and this is probably why I attracted a younger crowd, is I noticed, one thing I noticed is I would go to networking events, and I would cringe while I was there, because I kept asking myself, why am I here? There's nothing valuable. I'm not learning anything. I don't want to hear this guy talk anymore. There was something wrong with at least the networking events that I was going to. So I said to myself, let's start our own. Let's make it truly just about building relationships. I don't present there. I don't get in front. I don't do any speeches. Our hashtag is beer and real estate, and I want the event to be about beer and real estate. It's free admission. Free beer. It attracts that crowd, and it's a good time. Everybody has a good time. And this is like my way of getting a little bit deeper with the people I am currently doing business, and then also obviously attracting new people to build new relationships. So it kills two birds with one stone.
How often do you do it?
So we just had our second one, right? And my goal is for this to be like a national platform one day, by the way. And one of the cool things about it is we move it from brewery to brewery, and there's tons of breweries where we live. So it's kind of like a moving networking event, and that's one of the cool components. But we just had our second one, and we're looking to do it quarterly on top of a few other events that we like to put together.
So it's purely get together, network, have some beers and stuff like that, and people just talk. They work it. There's no like
that's it.
Any announcements, none of that, no agenda, no nothing.
Nope.
Right. But people know you're behind it.
Yes. I'll get up and say, hey, everybody, thanks for coming. As promised, I'm not going to do any speeches. Would love to, have a chat with you if I don't know you, and have a good time. That's basically how I leave it.
And when was the last one you did? Was it recently?
Yeah, it was last month. It was October 15th.
What's happened since that for you in terms of any organic business,
I've got it. I'm going to say at least 3 deals, at least 3 from new partners.
Yeah, people you hadn't met before.
Yeah, on top of the existing relationships. Yeah.
How do you mentioned you promote it exclusively on Instagram?
Well, Instagram, I shouldn't say Instagram. Instagram is just like my default for social media.
Sure.
But Facebook and Eventbrite, but no promotion.
You're creating an event. You actually have your own page for it on Facebook is what you have.
Yep.
I'm going to go there and check that out. Facebook.com/.
I did buy the URL.
Brew Real Estate.
Really built the website out yet, but I did buy the URL.
No, that's good, man. Very smart. Thinking plain long term. You got the long game going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is good. All right. So I love it. Connect, relax, enjoy.
Yep. The logo I got done at Fiverr.
Did you really? That's a nice logo.
Yeah, I think it was like $50.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Oh, by the way, Brooklyn Brewery. I've had their beer.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So that was our last event. We went big. That's a big venue, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's cool. All right. So you've only done one, I think, or, either way, the last one you did, you got 3 deals out of it already that you could just off the top of your head track. Okay. Let's go back into some more tactics. Okay. So we got the brewery thing going. You got Instagram. Are you actively using Instagram to follow, DM, engage, comment on agents to try and drum up relationships?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've been doing less of it now because I did it, extremely
diligently.
Yeah, diligently. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And it's created so much business for me that now I'm busy and I can't do it as often. So I'm bringing on a full-time videographer, and I'd like for them to sit there an hour a day and do exactly what you said, like, comment, engage, and DM realtors in our market. And what's crazy is a lot of the time, like, I've DM'd realtors. I spoke to realtors 2 years ago, right? When my page wasn't as built out, when I was less known, when I wasn't a part of this organization, and I never seen them before. And now, they kind of brushed off the message 2 years ago, but now that I've stayed consistent in front of them, they follow me, they subscribe to my mailing list, if you will, right? That's really what Instagram is. It's a mailing list for your followers. Now they're sending me business 2 years later. So again, by staying consistent.
Yeah, it takes time. That's an interesting perspective you just shared. Instagram's a mailing list.
Yeah. So essentially, email marketing, think about it, a few years ago was like the thing.
Yeah.
Like it was like the thing to drum up business, to drum up leads. Now we get, as we're sitting here, we're probably getting 10 pieces of junk mail from Macy's, right? And it's not as effective. But
no disrespect to Macy's.
No disrespect to Macy's at all. And I probably click them and shop those deals that
Hell yeah.
they're offering through email. It's not as effective as it used to, because there's so much of it. It's a crowded space. But when somebody clicks follow on Instagram, when somebody clicks add friend on Instagram, you now have their attention. Use it wisely, right? So if I'm staying in front of them every single day on my stories talking about, I just sent a pre-approval, it's midnight to an agent that I work with, and the next week they need a pre-approval at midnight, who are they thinking about?
Yeah.
And think about the word follow. Like they're literally following you, right? And that's why what that makes me think of next is, like, your brand needs to have a movement attached to it. And when somebody follows you, they're following your brand and your movement. So that's why I kind of have my underlying theme throughout all of my content is defeating average in real estate. And that's really where my brand comes from, is not your average lender. I'm here to defeat average in real estate. And that's the mission that I have people like embark on me with.
And so what do you mean by that? How do you defeat average in real estate? What does that really mean?
Okay. So my mission statement is to remove average from real estate by adding value to consumers and real estate professionals. Okay. So how do I defeat average? And I'll give you an example of average, like not picking up the phone. Like, why are our standards so low in our industry, right? And I talk about that all the time. Like, why are our standards so low? Why is this acceptable? Like this, we're getting paid, lots of money. Why don't we conduct ourselves like that? You know what I'm saying? So, and loan officers are notorious for not answering the phone, especially when there's something wrong. So a lot of real estate agents love hearing that. Like, yeah, my loan officer never answers the phone. Like, why is that acceptable? Number one, let's raise that standard. That's what I mean by defeat average. Now, by adding value on top of doing all of that stuff that we should be doing, that should be standard, I really focus on helping agents become more successful. That's how I build relationships and go deep with people, especially the younger crowd that I naturally attract. Like, they want a partner. They don't want a loan officer. They want a partner. And I spend a lot of time and energy into their business, because I know if they're doing more deals, I'm doing more deals. And that's how I put it to them.
Give us some examples of how you pour into them and help them in their business.
So, number one, I'd say from a buyer's agent perspective. So there's a few ways I break it down, like buyer's agent, seller's agent.
Right.
I was just listening to one of the episodes on your podcast. For a listing agent, put me as your cross qualifying lender. Right. That's one of the value adds for a listing agent. Now, but for buyer's agent, there's tons of stuff. Number one, I get on the phone with the listing agent and push that deal as hard as that agent's going to push that deal, and touch on the strong points of the file. Hey, I know I'll get on the phone with the listing agent. Sometimes I'll even know the listing agent, which is a really slam dunk.
Right.
Because then there's no need to have that conversation. But I'll get on the phone with the listing agent and I'll say, hey, just to give you some context about how I do business, before I'm issuing any pre-approval, here's what I'm doing. I'm doing everything up front. I'm getting all paperwork. So they know that I'm thorough. And I know that I can close this loan in 3 weeks. Right. Now, I know this is a multiple offer situation, but if this is something your seller would be more comfortable with, I can submit this to underwriting and get a full mortgage commitment before the deal even goes into contract. If that means our buyer is going to get an accepted offer, if I do that, you just give me the green light. I'll do that today and get a commitment in 2 to 3 days. So I'll always lead with who am I, how I do business. This deal isn't falling through. I've done X, Y, and Z. If it's a multiple offer situation, I'll always reiterate to them, hey, instead of just this pre-approval to bring to your sellers, you can tell them that I can have a mortgage commitment to them in 48 hours if that means my client is going to get this house. Not only is that a value add for the agent, because they're getting accepted offers left and right, but it's also a value add for the customer. Let's not forget about that. Like,
they want to win.
As a lender, we're financing the house, but we got to get them the house that they want.
Right.
And in this market, that could be the toughest thing to do, not even closing the loan.
So if you don't know the agent, you make it a practice to call all those listing agents and run through that.
At every offer.
What's the general response from agents when you do that?
I have one today that told me the only reason she accepted, or she pushed the seller to accept their offer, is because of me. Wow. Because of what I told her. I already have the deal in underwriting. The deal isn't in contract yet. She told me that she has another offer with 20% down, conventional. Ours is FHA with the seller's concession, minimum down.
Really? And she took your offer?
Yes, because I got on the phone and I took the time to explain to them. All right, for instance, our borrower is a teacher.
Uh-huh.
They make over six figures. They have a 790 credit score. I touch on the strong parts of the file. Obviously, you can't do that with everyone.
Right.
But and I ran through everything, and I said at the end, if I submit this to underwriting, get you a mortgage commitment, do we have a deal? And she brought that to her seller. Her seller ended up also being a teacher, so she felt for that client.
Wow, yeah.
And all of a sudden, the seller's concession that we were asking for, the 3.5% down payment, the fact that it didn't matter at that point.
Yeah.
So I think that those two things, the TBD mortgage commitment, I call it, the to be determined mortgage commitment, and getting on the phone with the listing agent, two things that are free that I do for buyer's agent that will immediately, equal more money to them and more value.
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
I talk fast. I like.
No. I mean, there's a lot of learning lessons in it. I want to highlight a couple of them. One, probably an obvious point to you is, it just shocks me that why don't more LOs do that? You know what I mean?
Which part? Getting on
all the listing agent? Yeah, exactly. Lazy.
Is it lazy, not caring? The fact that even if they don't get this house, they'll get the next house, and that means a loan. Mortgage guys always have if this house doesn't work out, another one will. Real estate agents do not look at it like that.
Hell no.
And I make sure to put myself in the agent's shoes, because at the end of the day, like we mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, that's my number one referral source. I'm nothing without them. And I put that before everything.
Well, you use the word partner, and that's what a partner does. A vendor doesn't do that.
Correct.
Right? A partner does. And that's a mindset issue, like you talked about earlier. Look at this as a business owner, right? And a lot of LOs are in this I'm a salesperson mentality. Mm-hmm. And let's face it, a lot of salespeople are lazy. Some aren't, but a lot are. And they want to do the minimum just to get paid. Yep. But I love your mindset, because I'm sure you're already aware. It's like, you're back to your brand thing. You're creating a brand everywhere. As a matter of fact, that reminds me, you'd appreciate this. Your personal brand is what you do every day.
Yep.
Like you say, exactly right. Your quote about Bezos. Yeah.
Jeff Bezos is the best definition of a brand. It's a brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
So imagine that realtor hangs up the phone after talking with you, and you're presenting the case, right, for that buyer, and he or she's like, holy shit, whoa, damn.
She goes, he's not your average lender.
Exactly.
You see how it comes full circle. That's exactly what I want people to say when I'm not in the room.
All right, now let me pivot a little bit. How do you, when you meet with a realtor, I'm curious if you tie in that pitch, if you will, to a buyer's agent, because what you're doing is you're representing the buyer's agent's client. It's your mutual client. You're representing that, and kind of like an attorney would represent a case. And I'm just wondering, because a lot of people are like, LOs are like, how do I have a differentiation when I'm meeting with everybody's like on the rates and term thing. It's like this whole conversation around being a partner, and a lot of people blow by that. So number one, I'm curious if you actually, when you're meeting with an agent, if that's one of the things you highlight about what you do differently, a buyer's agent.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I think what I always when I meet with an agent, whether it be one-on-one, official meeting in my office, or coffee, or, quick chat at a networking event, I always let them lead the conversation, and I actively listen to figure out what they want to talk about. Maybe that's not what they want to talk about. right? But if I ask them, like, what's your biggest struggle in this market right now? Like, and they bring up a story about they're having trouble getting their buyers' offers accepted. I'm hammering those two value adds home on top of the other stuff that I do. Or if they talk about, hey, I'm having trouble generating leads, maybe that's not the agent that I want to talk to, right? Because they have zero business. But if they mention lead generation in any way, that's when I bring in the lead generation component, which we didn't even talk about. If they're talking about, if they love social media and they keep talking about my Instagram or how I do videos and photos, oh, that's crazy, because I'm actually hiring a full-time videographer. And the reason I'm hiring them is not only to do my content, but to do my top agents' content for free. And I'll always like use what and I think I learned that from telemarketing early in my career. I always use what people say as like, leverage. But I kind of let the conversation go, but that's definitely always something that I try and touch on, because it's one of the most overlooked and valuable things that I can do.
For sure. I want to get into the lead gen thing in a second, but I'm curious if you could just briefly give me your philosophy or maybe a couple of talking points when you do meet that buyer's agent for the first time, however you got that meeting, networking, beers, whatever, Instagram, and it's like, oh, we're going to do the friggin' coffee meeting, right?
Right.
What's your approach? What's your mindset going in? And is it a one-step approach? Like, take me through that.
I try and lean on personal first, right? Then it kind of it always naturally transitions into how I do business and how our team.
How does it naturally transition into that? I'm curious. Are they asking?
No, I'll ask them something like, how's business going? Or I heard one script once. I forgot where I heard it, but if there was one thing about mortgage professionals that you could change, what would it be? Yeah. And that's kind of how I'll bring it from personal to business. Sometimes they'll go right into business because they're like that personality type that doesn't care about any.
Just get to it.
Yeah. But I always lean on how our team is very diligent, how we're working in the office till midnight, like, because that's really the truth. How our back office works, how it's a team, and how we check everything in front, and how I've never submitted a deal to underwriting that didn't close. Like, all of those like touch points on the mortgage process. And then I'll flow into all the value adds to help them with the business. But I'll always touch on how we do mortgages first.
After you've built rapport and you got the relationship, all that stuff. Yeah. Okay. How do you typically leave that meeting? Let me set that up a little bit, because oftentimes, loan officers leave the meeting with the handshake and stuff, and then it's crickets.
Yep.
So do you do anything?
Actually, that has happened to me. Obviously, it's probably happened to all of us.
Everybody, sure.
And I noticed that, like, why am I taking on all these meetings? These guys they're not sending me deals months later. Yeah. There's definitely some follow-up in place. I have it set in my CRM to call the agents that I have in my database every 15 days. Have I implemented that to the 100? Like, have I implemented my CRM to the 100% capacity yet? Probably not, but that's definitely something that's important, of one of the things that I built out. There's definitely the follow-up, like, hey, how's everything going? Anybody that I can help, I'll ask for the business. Now, something that I heard as of recently that I'm going to actually start implementing is a sort of like a scripting where it's, expectations lead to disappointment. So instead of this meeting, instead of us leaving this meeting and you expecting one thing and me expecting one thing, can you make a commitment to send me your next 3 buyers? And I've been told that, and that maybe that's not it word for word. I have to figure out where I learned that from and rewatch the video a little bit. Right. But I want to definitely start implementing that into the end of the meeting, because, we don't get paid to sit down with realtors. We get paid to close loans.
So have you tried that question yet out on Realtors?
The past 2 meetings, and they said yes. Have they sent me deals yet? No, but that was 2 weeks ago. So you got to. I always like to ask loan officers, like, what's the typical time where you get your first deal from Realtor? Because sometimes it's like all of a sudden, they obviously need to prospect and find buyers first to give to us. So there's always going to be a gap unless they have somebody ready at that meeting, which also sometimes happens. And that's really cool. It's like, all right, this coffee that I bought you, you know, it turns into a loan. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, let me, if I can add any value to you on this.
Please.
It's a book I got. I'm recently been digging into. It was written by a guy I interviewed, Chris Smith, co-founder of Curator. Actually, there's 3 authors, and the one I'm going to have Phil Jones on. He's just a wordsmith, but it's this book, and I'll put a link in the show notes, but it's exactly what to say to close the deal. And it's just this little book of like scripting and awesome language and words. And earlier today on a coaching call, I shared this one, try this out, which is, would you be open-minded to, like opening every question with that? Would you be open-minded to sending me your next buyer? Would you be open-minded to, right, having a conversation? Because everyone wants to be open-minded, right?
Yeah. Of course.
No, I'm a closed-minded SOB, right? Yeah, exactly. So, you know, check that book out, link in the show notes and stuff, but, you know, exactly what to say. It's on Amazon, $12 or whatever, 15.
Cool.
But I just love that transition phrase. Would you be open-minded to? Lots of ways. Dating.
I think, but a big thing that I want to implement is, and I just started doing this as of 2 weeks ago, is really, really systemizing everything. Because right now I'm at a point in volume where I'm living a life that I'm making more money than I've ever had. But I think, in my opinion, in order to get to the next level, every little thing about my business needs to be systemized. Whether it's a realtor meeting, the CRM I'm setting up, how to take in an application. Like, of course, there's a flow that we always follow. But like, let's get super, super systemized with everything. I was told that system stands for saving yourself serious time, energy, and money. And
pretty good one.
I've kept that from the day I've heard it. Saving yourself serious time, energy, and money, because it's so, so true. The best businesses have systems. Look at McDonald's. They don't make the best hamburger, but they sell the most hamburgers.
100%. Love it. System is the solution.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the lead gen stuff you do. Tell me about that.
So we generate Facebook leads ranging. Yeah, exactly.
Legion of officers.
Yes. Okay. So we generate Facebook leads, as well as I always let realtors know that we have a team of telemarketers. We have a whole sales floor of about, I'm going to say 15 to 20 sales guys. Some of them are more established.
So your company provides that for you?
Well, our branch.
Oh, your branch does. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
And a few of those loan officers on my team are not established. They're kind of working how I was, starting out, and they're on the phone all day. So their job is to generate or drum up pre-approvals. Right. And what do those pre-approved buyers need? Agents. So I always like throw that out there. That's not something that I do for every agent. That's something that I do for like my top ones, obviously. Who's ever given me the most business is going to get my next pre-approved buyer. Okay. But on top of that, we're generating leads for the realtors, and they're paying the ad spend. I'm not paying the ad spend unless it's, again, my top realtor. Then we'll split it, or maybe I'll cover it. But that's like on a case-to-case basis, because if I start doing this for every realtor in my market and I'm paying the ad spend, obviously that's not scalable. Right. But for the most part, they're paying the ad spend and they're generating leads that same quality as Zillow or Realtor.com, but it's a tenth of the price through Facebook.
How many realtors you have on that program right now?
Three.
And are they reciprocating back too?
Yeah, those are my 3 top ones. So I started with them, and this is something that I'm going to roll out to not masses, but more of the masses as an attraction piece to build a relationship. Yeah.
You mentioned Zillow for a second. Let me transition over to that because I notice you've got 51 reviews on Zillow as of today.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. Plus you have, I'm coming full circle back to you being like a modern originator. Plus your Google My Business page, you have 13 5-star reviews there. Do you get any business because you've got online reviews?
Not that I can track.
Right.
However,
Yes.
whenever I speak to a client, I do like my initial consult, and I'll send the list of documents that I need,
Yeah.
including my contact information. At the bottom of that text message or email, I'll always include my Zillow and my Google reviews. I don't know how, I can't tell you how many times people have told me you have immediately after seeing my text message, you have amazing reviews, and then they send the documents.
Well, yeah,
So
I mean,
it's definitely helping.
well, it's one of those things, like you said, it's not a direct line. It's a dotted
Yes.
line. It's
Yeah.
similar to social media in some
Yes.
ways, if it's not ad based. It's a credibility thing. It's a trust thing. You've seen the stats, right? People trust online reviews very simply.
Social proof.
Yeah.
Like this guy's asking for my tax return. Who is he? Right.
Well, yeah. And even before they get to you, like if it's a realtor referral, hey, call Eric. They're going to go
Google. Yep.
Yeah.
Even after they speak to me, that doesn't mean they're going to be fully like they haven't met me in person yet. They're just speaking to me on the phone. If they click that link, now all of a sudden I'm edified in their head.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely helps.
So you're doing the lead gen with realtors. You're mostly working with people in your same age bracket. I was thinking, do you do any, like, naturally I always ask the question about classes, teaching agent classes, trying to educate them, doing any of that kind of stuff?
That's definitely part of first quarter of next year. So when we were talking about brewery, I said, and there's a few other events that we'd like to set up. I'd like to, and I have them written down, because you get all these good ideas and then you don't execute.
Yeah. Right.
Unfortunately. So I write everything down in like my notes. The events that I want to put together, number one, I want to do CE classes, continuing education classes, because every realtor needs it. And why not do it, at the slow months of the year when every realtor is looking for their continuing education credits. Okay. I also want to, we're a sponsor of NAREP in our market. So National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. Right. So I want to be more into that. Then there's a YPN, which is young people network or whatever. Yep. So that we want to start sponsoring and diving into that. And then I also want to put together, and this is something that I thought of recently, a 3-day boot camp where it's like, 20 agents max. I'm going to bring in speakers and people who are going to teach them how to be better real estate agents. I may get up there and give my spiel for 30 minutes, but I'm not going to be the focus. It's going to be more of like developing a community and an elite community of real estate professionals.
You ever think about like putting together a Facebook group for that as well, or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I have one that we talked about a little bit when we were initially speaking, Long Island's top producing realtors. Oh, yeah. Now, I haven't really even tapped the potential of that group. I've been just focusing on building it and inviting people to it. Now, part of quarter one is going to be really pulling the audience from that, because right now they don't even know that I created it. Like that's how much it's untapped. It's more of like something I'm saving. It's like a gas tank, but I'm gonna really extract people from there more recently, or planning to.
Is that Long Island's realtors, lenders, attorneys, home inspectors?
No, it's Long Island's top producing real estate agents.
Oh, okay, got it. I was just trying to do a search in Facebook for that.
Yeah, there's definitely a few real estate groups. I wanted to be more of sharing tips and what's working in the business. For sure. What it is right now, to be honest, is like I have an open house coming up. Bring your buyers, which I don't mind, but I don't want that to be the focus because there's tons of groups for that. But as of right now, it's we got so much going on that it's hard to manage a Facebook group on top of it. But that's definitely going to be at the forefront very shortly. Yeah, no, that's smart. I'm working with some people to do that as well, because it's all about how do you both cast a wide net and go deep at the same time? Because it's an ever evolving, moving parade, this thing of real estate agents. There's this old saying that there's a third coming, a third staying, and a third going. Yes. And that's actually kind of true with real estate agents. It's always in flux. Yeah.
But how do you have that big bucket to capture them all and stay, social media is one thing, Instagram, whatever, but to your point about the group, that's a great way to add value, to put content in there, to have special guests.
When I go live on Facebook or Facebook for this conversation, when I go live, I'll share it to that group. Sometimes I'll pull people from there that I'm not even friends with. They'll start watching my live. When I have events, I'll share it to that group. So I didn't want to become a part of an audience. I wanted to create the audience.
Well, it's like Gary Vee says, right? Don't attend the party, host the party.
Absolutely. That's why I want to do more events. That's why, the boot camp, the brewery, Long Island Stop Producing Realtors group. I'm all about, I want it to be mine, as selfish and prideful as that sounds.
No, I don't think that's selfish or prideful at all. I think you understand and get the game that you're in. And the game is attention, right? Because and then the attention leads to engagement and impact and then relationship and referrals,
Yep.
All right, let's see here. For the last couple of minutes we have, I'm looking at my notes. Your brand's great, by the way. Are you consciously, I'm curious about this, are you consciously deciding to dress like a sharp-dressed man, or is that just how they roll in New York?
So this is a huge Instagram tip right here. Ready?
Yeah.
One thing you have to realize about Instagram, it's the most visual platform. It's more visual than Facebook.
Yes.
Right? It was made famous. Think about it. Their logo is a camera icon.
Right.
It was made famous through photography. Okay. So it's very, very visual platform. That's why millennials like it, because there's less words. We don't want to read, right? Long captions matter. They make sense to do sometimes, not all the times.
Right.
And you'll see some of my posts have 3 words under it. Some of my posts have 4 paragraphs. It's all about the message that I'm trying to deliver. But something important to mention, that Instagram is very visual. And what I do as a content strategy, this is a huge tip right here. When I talk about social media to people, whether it be a loan officer, real estate agent, I don't have enough time. That's the main excuse they tell me, right? Yep. What I personally do is I get a videographer once a month. I bring 3 outfits and we shoot for 3 hours. My content is good I'm good on content for that full month, if not more, from that 1 3-hour thing or appointment per month.
And so you go to different locations and do some shoots and stuff?
Yeah, I'll drive in my car. There's a bunch of content that I haven't dropped yet, but I'll drive in my car. I'll walk around some nice houses.
Like shots of you in front of the building and stuff like that.
Outside of my office, correct. So if you look at my Instagram, you scroll down, there's like a good 20 posts that I have all different outfits on, but that was all shot the same day.
Yeah. A little batch content. Yeah.
Yep. And then,
otherwise it's too hard. Yeah.
And then this, I should be doing a story right now.
That's right. See that? No kidding. Look at that, man.
So
there we go.
You're on the Mortgage Marketing Radio podcast. Say what up.
What up, man? Eric Braun, not your average lender.
Yes. So quick little stuff like that. Like I was just on another podcast today with a builder in my marketplace. We're going to turn that into, that was an hour and a half, right? We're going to turn that into a week's worth of content. Like the very Gary Vee-esque, how to produce it.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask you. I was like trolling, whatever you want to call it, your Instagram feed. And I noticed you said you had one post that said your average screen time is 8 hours and 50 minutes.
Yes.
All right. So I see that, and I know the question for everybody hearing that is, how the hell do you get stuff done?
Oh, I'm on my phone getting stuff done. I'm on my email. I'm not on Instagram for 8 hours and 50 minutes. I'm answering emails. I'm texting clients. The only thing I'm doing that's quote unquote time consuming is the stories. And if you think about it, I just took 15 seconds out of my day. That wasn't even 15 seconds actually. It was 5 seconds, if anything. And did that really take a lot of time?
No, man. The thing is this is what I've had to train myself to do, is to build that muscle of awareness.
Yes.
To be like, now's the time. Like you just trigger. I wouldn't even thought of it, but you did. Thank you.
Yes. And people in my office, when we were moving offices and I was I was getting my little office within the office. I was like, all right, this is going to be the content cave. And in my office, all the loan officers call me Content King. Because when I was first developing my brand and taking social media serious, I go, oh, this is great content, and go scramble and run for my phone. You know, oh, we're having a birthday, we're cutting cake. Oh, let me grab my phone. Hold on 1 second. And that's very obviously millennial of me, but like to train your brain to say, this is an opportunity to capture content. Even if it's a 5-second clip, it's not that time consuming. It's just getting into it that people find art.
Exactly. 100%. And you just got to kind of train yourself to do that. I'm curious, do you actually schedule time to do social, or is it just so natural to you? You're just doing it.
As far as posting, I try and do twice a week. Try and do Tuesday and Thursday. I think I get the most, or you're talking about producing content?
No, let's stay on posting for a second. You're posting every day.
On my story.
Okay.
Actual post pictures. And you're right. I'm sharing stuff every day. Yeah, I'm very active, but posting a picture, I try and do at least twice a week. Or posting a video, I try and do at least twice a week, but I'm staying, every single day on my stories. I'm sharing stuff on Facebook, statuses on Facebook. I'm every day on it 100%. As far as producing content, yes, I'm scheduling a time with a videographer to do it once a month at least. And now with the full-time videographer, I'm going to be, I'm going to be doing stuff like this, and he's going to be filming in the background. I'm not even going to have to schedule it. He's getting paid to do it.
Ooh, I just turned on one of your videos.
Oh, it played through the headphones?
Oh. Super loud. All right, man. Cool. So clearly, modern mortgage originator, being present, building a personal brand on the socials is working for you, because in 2 short years of originating, right, you're doing 18 plus mil, if I'm reading my notes correctly, or is it 25?
It'll be
25. That's what it is.
And that's not including my team production. That'll be in total, personal and team, be 50 million.
So you don't do cold calling, any of that?
No, not anymore.
Ooh, but that's right. The telemarketing thing, you started out by that. This is a much better way to do business. Yeah.
Yeah. Relationship, putting myself out there. That's the way to do it, man. You got to position yourself as a celebrity and an expert in your marketplace. Then the business comes to you.
Amen to that. Cool, man. This is some good lessons. All right. For those listening, where would you like to direct them? And of course, I'll link it in the show notes, but I'm going to assume your Instagram is like the main place.
Just follow me, message me. If you have any questions about social media, I try and be as open as possible. Obviously, it's difficult with all, when you're getting flooded with messages, but I'll try and get back to you. So just follow me at Not Your Average Lender on Instagram, and you could also add me on Facebook, Eric Braun.
For sure. Yeah, everybody listening or watching, we're on YouTube now. Cool. I definitely encourage you to go follow Eric and check out what he's doing. Just mirror some of what he's doing and just start duping some of it. You know what I mean? Make it your own.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Love it. Not Your Average Lender, removing average from real estate. That's killer. That's
by
a great
adding value.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hey, appreciate you making time, Eric.
Thank you for the opportunity, man. I appreciate it.
You bet. And listeners, as always, if you like this episode or any of them, you know what to do. Leave us a review on the socials, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.